Brazilian Pit Monsters versus American XL Bullies, guys. Let's talk about it. Here we go. In lieu of all the commotion and all the conversation going on this week with lives and interviews, and I'm referring to QBN Raul and Array of Samba Kennels about the Pit Monster topic. Right, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring and have my own opinion because I do have pit monsters. I've invested the money. My point in the whole thing, in terms of people saying that the pit monsters should not be mixed with the XLs, I don't agree with that. As discussed, there is volatility in the XL category, and it is all over the place. And you can see 3 to 5 different expressions of the XL. And now people are saying that because it's not dialed in, that we should not bring in another breed.
See, I agree with that. I think XL bullies in general, they're not a final product. So I agree with what Earl's saying. I think that in a way, I don't know if he would agree with my assertions here, but I think that the American Bully is not a final product. It's barely out of its infancy, and there's just too much left on the table that needs to be maybe corrected. So you might as well utilize some known outcrosses that maybe come from healthy lines that have solid temperaments and good structure and what you're looking for. And like in the XL world, they lack what they consider type, which is the more bully nature, the more bulliness of the dog. And what the Brazilian Pit Monster brings to the table is that bully. They supposedly don't have any Mastiff blood in them. It's mainly Bulldog with large size pit bulls. Now, with those large size pit bulls, I don't know, those are probably American Pit Bull Terriers mixed with Bulldogs, American Bulldogs themselves. I think that so there's a lot of Bulldog within the Brazilian Pit Monster, and I think it would enhance anything that the XL Bully world is trying to accomplish. So I agree with him.
Mix in with it. So my first point would be, because it is volatile and it is not established, there's no better time to bring in another breed to correct the issues with the XL, which is lack of breed type, weak rears, and a non-conformity of look. And my other point in bringing in pit monsters right now, because if you establish the breed already, let's just say the XL's already established, like the pockets are, then there's no need for infusion. But right now, because we're so spread out because of the Bulldog and the Mastiff influence and all these other things that we're bringing to give the XL size, in my opinion, there's no better time to bring something in. It's common knowledge in the XL lane that a lot of these popular dogs are paper hung, and infusions of breeds like the Borbal and Mastiffs are prevalent, and you can see it in the dogs. I like the XL lane first.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the problem that I have with the American Bully as a whole, is that it's just kind of a paper tiger. It's a house of cards. It's not really based on reality. It's all based on this mythology and these kind of backdoor deals and these, these fibs. And it's, they used all these different breeds to make this dog, and they couldn't even acknowledge the fact that there was English Bulldog in the breed or different kinds of Bulldogs in the breed. Up until just a few years ago. And to me, the only way you can make a bully is with Bulldog. American Bully is only bully because it has Bulldog in it. American Staffordshire, American Pit Bull Terrier, Staffordshire Bull Terrier, that's not bully. Those are performance type dogs that have bull blood in them, but they're bred for different kinds of structures, and bulliness is the last thing that these people are trying to accomplish. At least a proper breeder of those breeds. is the last thing they're trying to accomplish. And so those are athletic breeds, and you look at dogs like that. When you start breeding those kinds of dogs into other kinds of dogs, they're always going to revert to the terrier side of things. The terrier genetics are very strong. So how do you keep a bully? You use bulldog. You use dogs that are going to make it bully, like bulldog. And that's why I like the American Bully. I just always looked at it as a bulldog infused breed. Now the XLs, I don't know a whole lot about, other than it's kind of a more mastiff mix, and so that's just kind of, you know, what kind of mastiffs, I don't know. Obviously, probably some Bordeaux and maybe Neo and English Mastiff, and what else, I don't know. Who knows? American Bulldog for sure. Old English Bulldog probably. But who knows what all is in it. And so, but again, like in the American Bully world, if you start breeding towards the supposed bull and terrier, it's always going to come out more terrier than bull. So you got to infuse the dogs that are going to make it what you the desired outcome that you're trying to achieve. And if you call it the American Bully, and it's supposed to be this big thick dog, with what these people call a pit bull on steroids, you're going to have to infuse things like bulldog in it. And same thing with the XL Bully. Mastiffs aren't necessarily bully. They're big, but they're not going to give you the girth and the wide chests and all the things that maybe these XL Bully breeders want. And how do you do that? You breed a dog that has a big wide chest, like an American Bulldog, like a big, strong, Old English type Bulldog. So that's, to me, just common sense. And it just, the Brazilian pit monsters are what I would consider what the true XL Bully should be. And I look at the XL Bullies as just as a Mastiff hybrid.
Because of the functionality of the dog, right? Healthier. Some of these pockets, you champ them out, you don't see them. They die in 3 years, 4 years. So young. I picked the XL lane because of the functionality. With that being said, I agree with some things. I wanted to do Pit Monster Blood, so that's my first gen of the dog that I want, right? So I have here Kiko. Well, you'll see here Kiko. We produced her off of 209 Klaus, and she's exactly what I wanted her to be. Very nice expression, and she's only coming on 8 months, about close to 90 pounds. A very muscular expression, and this is going to be a baseline for our blood. Very great temperament. Come here, sweetheart. You. So you're seeing her now. No, not your turn. Get up. Very sweet girl here. So I'm liking this expression, guys. And this is going to be very nice to mix with some of the American blood that we're going to take her to when she matures.
I can understand why some people are hesitant, because you don't know the bloodlines. You don't know exactly. And when you're dealing with, dogs that come from another country, you never know what you're going to get. But, you don't know what you're going to get in the bully world either. Because like he said, a lot of it has been paper hung and based off of mythology and BS stories and just a lot of lies. So, but I think that it's no different when you're dealing with, a foreign country and importing dogs. You're taking a huge risk. When I think the fear of the unknown is part of the deal with a lot of quote unquote purists. And so I understand the hesitation with for a lot of people. It would be my hesitation as well. In fact, I probably will never import unless it's a high percentage business decision that I can not necessarily because there's no guarantee, but that I can get a high percentage of the closest thing to a guarantee as possible. But I don't see that situation ever arising. And now with the new USDA laws, it's even harder to import. And with these Brazilian dogs, they can tell you one story and it could be one thing or another, but um, there's so many just like lies in the dog world and just straight up myths that I have a hard time buying into it. So you'd really have to find somebody that you feel like you can trust to really find out the true lineage and are you getting the best dogs possible. I know a lot of kennels that are overseas are only selling their subpar dogs to the rest of the world, and I you just got to find that one kennel or whatever that wants a good reputation and isn't trying to make a fast buck. And so you just have to be really mindful.
So I just showed you Fortuna and Kiko, two Brazilian females, one imported and one U.S. born. And what's important to keep in mind is that prior to making these kind of investments and shipping dogs here, the first thing we inquired about is, can we register them with ABKC? ABKC is our home registration where we go to shows, where we compete. All our dogs are registered there. Once we found out that we can register them, so long as they're not an F1, that's when we decided to move ahead and pull the trigger and bring in, some Brazilian blood. And if you look at the Brazilian dogs, they're comprised mainly about the same breeds: bulldog, pit. I don't think there's much massive influence down there, but they have been sourcing XL bullies to bring down there to mix into their dogs. But the Brazilian dogs is very easily recognizable by the big head and the closeness of the eye set in the front. That's a trademark Brazilian pit monster look. I personally like the American faces better of the XLs. However, you can't deny the wow factor and breed type that these dogs, share. Their
Yeah, I mean that dog right there. No, we can't see it right, but I mean that dog right there obviously is more bulldog. I mean, that's a bully. That's what I consider a bully, and he's an XL. Way more bully than any, and it's crazy. I mean, the fact that these XL breeders, they just haven't so afraid to think logically and go with what really works because they don't want the scrutiny from the peanut gallery.
attributes are amazing, and I love that. I love the power, the physique, the functionality of the dog, the sturdiness of the dog, similar to the XLs. And I think that if we keep an open mind and we responsibly breed, that we can really influence the generations coming up in the next 5-10 years by the productions we make. And of course, our dogs are embarked. We do health testing on all our dogs, because if a dog is unhealthy, then obviously we should not be breeding the dog as responsible breeders. Now, what's very important to me is temperament, because there is some volatility in our community. Temperament is key to me. So a hot-blooded dog can't be on my yard. I'm not doing it. Hot-blooded, like super dog aggressive, or unruly, or even human aggressive. This is a very, very powerful breed, guys, and I think you'd be surprised.
Yeah, that's the crux of what like you see in England and now in other countries, Ireland and I don't know where else in Europe of outlawed XL bullies. Now people say that, oh, those aren't XL bullies. Well, what is an XL bully? It's a composite breed to begin with, so you know. It's kind of hard to distinguish a newly bred XL bully to a fourth or fifth generation, sixth generation bully that carries a similar genetics. They say, oh, those are those were band dogs that created all the problems in the UK that attacked people. They weren't real XL bullies, and they're probably right, but at the end of the day, it just goes to show you that temperament is a huge should be number one with breeders, in my opinion. If you're not breeding for performance and you're breeding for companion type animals, or even just your family guardian type dog, you don't need a dog that's going to be a liability. And those aren't good guard dogs to begin with, because they're reactive. They're not thinking dogs. They're not dogs that can decipher a real threat, and they just react, and they're usually overly nervous. They've probably got some sort of anxiety disorder, and they just wouldn't be good guard dogs. Those would be the ones that probably turn tail or attack you during a negative situation. And so temperament is stable temperaments are really important when you have breeds like this that would be easily mislabeled and negatively labeled as dangerous. If you know anything about dogs, most bullies are not dangerous. They're just like any other dog. I've had a couple of English bulldogs in my life that have been very, very aggressive towards not only other dogs, but kids. And that wasn't a good thing. And they weren't dogs that were bred properly. And they obviously were bred by breeders who did not think about temperament. And, we probably didn't do them any great service either by not handling certain behaviors at the right age. My last English bulldog, who passed away at 12 years old, we didn't get him until he was close to 1. So it was kind of a semi-rescue situation. But so his all his personality, his anxieties, and all of that were already kind of ingrained in him. And he was very dog aggressive, and he was also he did not like little kids. He looked at little kids as almost as I wouldn't say prey, because he didn't really have prey drive, but he looked at him as kind of a threat. That's how I felt. He would just go right at him. Did not like him. It was very strange, and we chalk it up to the situation that he was in prior. But I've heard other dogs have been the same way, and they haven't been provoked. Um, I don't like little kids either. But I don't want my dog to attack them.
How you wouldn't even be able to handle an 80-pound dog if the 80-pound dog was really getting after it. So to me, number one is temperament. Only behind that is health, and then the attributes, of course, right? So in essence, all of them are first tier, but all those things have to be present for me to even want to use the dog. That's why it's important for me to see the dogs before I use a stud. So I'm a person that likes my females. I'm not a big stud guy. I love all you guys with amazing studs because I'm going to see you and see if your dog is a good matchup for my girls. So for me, I like the females, and I like to pick the studs that I would like.
It's funny that he says this because if you're in the know of the dog world, with this economy, people aren't really wanting to breed because it's really expensive, especially with dogs that you're not either able to breed naturally or that you're heavily reliant on artificial insemination, things like that, because it's expensive to breed. It really is expensive, and so, and if you got to have C sections and all of that, like in your French bulldogs, English bulldogs, American bullies, to make money, you got to charge a certain amount for a puppy, and sometimes the quality isn't there to charge, so you either have to hustle and kind of fib your way through it, and that's a real dirtbag move. Most people do that, or you got to take it in the chin and charge people the correct price, and then you're not breaking even, or you're barely breaking even, for your time and your effort and the cost of doing business. When you think probably $5,000-6,000 to do a breeding, and you have 3 or 4 puppies that you can sell, you're $2,000 a piece. Say you have 4 puppies, that's $8,000. You're only making 2,000, 2,500 bucks for all that time and effort. At the end of the day, it's it it the return isn't quite there, especially when you spent maybe $5,000 for your female or more. And so a lot of these bully people who got into it for the business purposes and to hustle and have a side hustle or make a buck or two, the math doesn't add up. And so these people, especially with this economy now, when the economy was flowing during the COVID era, people were buying puppies left and right. They were selling subpar dogs for $4,000 or $5,000. It was worth it, right? You had those 4 puppies, you sold them for $5,000. You were profiting $15,000. If you did 3-4 litters a year, that's almost a job, really. And so it was worth it. And that's what got a lot of people involved. But now you're seeing a lot of people going back on their word, not their word, but going back on their ideas. And now they're heavily reliant on building their program off of stud dogs. And stud dogs, it's a great idea. That's what I've done with my Frenchies, but I have a couple of stud dog Frenchies. But at the end of the day, the reason why I did it wasn't to necessarily just purely make money. It was to tie everything in together with my podcast and being part of the breeding program, some breeding projects. I thought that would be fun and enjoyable, and me still having to work and then wanting to maintain this podcast and do all the things that I need to do, that I'm responsible for. I knew breeding dogs, and especially French bulldogs, would not be something that I could give my heart and soul to. I barely have time and energy to do my podcast. And so stud dogs is just a way for me to get involved into the game, and then in a way for me to have content for my podcast. I love dogs. I want to be a part of the breeding process, and so that was the way I do it. But the people that have got involved in this now are really doing it out of mainly, what they think is business. And I really think they're just, lackluster hustlers. But now they're reliant on, they want to go the stud dog route. And so they'll breed a couple litters a year, and they're just trying to breed to that next stud, because there are some stud dogs in the American bully world that have made lots of money, and we're talking high six figures. Um, there was one stud dog that just passed away, and some people were figuring the numbers, and they were figuring close to $1 million for that stud dog, and it's not unheard of. And so people see that and they think, okay, I'm just going to breed off. I'm just going to start my own little stud dog program. I'm only going to breed to that next stud. Well, it's not going to work, because those are 1 in a million. It's like getting a lightning strike. And one of the things is, in the bully world, it's not just about how your dog looks or how your dog reproduces, or how many, well, it's not even going to win a ribbon, really. It's who you know, and then it's also your name behind that dog. It's the name behind that dog. So Sean O'Brien owning this fantastic XL bully that is better than any other XL bully that most people have seen is not going to win, or it's not going to garnish the same amount of money that somebody well known in the breed would garnish. So a kennel name, a well known name in the industry, is going to garnish uh, more money, and is going to add legitimacy, even though it's all about the dog. It's not about the personality. But unfortunately, as we see in the bully world, it really is about the personality almost as much as it is about the dogs. And that's part of the problem.
At some point. So next up, let's go over some American girls. Come here, Poodle. This is Champion Poodle, Snickers, aka Poodle. Come here.
Yeah, look at the difference. You just tell. I mean, it's still a nice dog and everything. I like it, but it's nowhere near as bully.
This is a purebred American XL female, 23 months old, right? Love the head, right? That's Champion Snickers. There she is. And I love this. Look at that short muzzle on her, right? Beautiful girl. Now.
Yes, yeah, I like that. I really do. I like the XL bullies for some reason. I really do. I mean, I don't think that, unfortunately, what a lot of people are realizing is the pit monsters is the direction where most people want to be in the XL bully world. And so, they're realizing that they may have to like change directions here. But at the same time, for me, I look at that and I say that's what an XL bully represents. It's still got a unique look, and it's a type unto itself. But again, that's not the way they're looking at it. They're looking at it like they want to compete against what you see a standard or a pocket size American bully looks like. They just want it to be on an XL size frame. And how you do that by what the Brazilian pit monsters are doing. So, but to me, this is still a great looking dog that you could build off of. But again, people are trying to suffice an industry, and If they want bully dogs, they need a dog that has bulldog in it. A lot of it. Like the Brazilian Pit Monster.
Looking at her, I'll show you another all full-bred American girl. Our girl Maki. Come here, Maki. Come here. Here's another purebred American girl, a little bit bigger. This is a 120 plus pound dog, big body Maki. Nice head on her. So Maki is probably about 23 with a 24-inch head. Poodle's a 25-inch head. And she's probably got about 15 pounds plus on Poodle. Poodle's about 110, maybe 112. But there you go. You see the thick rib cage. Nice top line. Good depth on the chest right there. All right. Well, that's an American girl. Very big. I like the profile, right? And see, you can see this dog has massive influence. You know, I'm not here to hide anything. I want to show the dog for what it is and tell you that by looking at this dog definitely has some kind of massive influence in it. And she is embarked as well.
Yeah, she's got a unique look. Yeah. I like her. Good looking dog. Does need to be more bully. Not in my eyes. You know. But again, you can't call something a bully without having enough bulldog in it. So, in my opinion, the bulldogs, that's my bias. I'm a bulldog guy. So, it ain't bully if it doesn't have bulldog in it.
It's our girl, big body Maki, who will be breeding as soon as she fully goes into heat. She kind of went into, started swelling and I started panicking, but kind of like a preheat. Hasn't really bled yet, but we're testing her. So we're taking her cousin, Air, from Lone Star Bullies. So with that said, now let's look at two other girls. Okay, guys, like I was saying, here's our other two girls who are kennel mates and sisters of the same litter. This is a half Brazilian and half American XL dog. And what's really attracted us to these girls is Klaus is a standout import from Brazil. And Lily is a very well-bred American XL female off of King Zion and Bossy's Tetra. I like King Zion. He is amazing, and he's an amazing producer off of Bossy's Adios. Same thing with Bossy's Tetra. This whole bloodline on that side is amazing. And you take that to a dog like Klaus, who is a freak. He's a hyper type, hyper expression of body. But here, so this girl right here is coming off heat now. She's going to be back in campaign, guys. She was in campaign, ABKC shows. We had to pull her from.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. You know, a good mix. You're onto something. The best of both worlds, really. I don't think that they should create two separate styles of dogs, the Pit Monster and the XL Bully, but allow for crossing amongst the both. Leave the stud books open. See what happens. I guess you have dogs that look more XL Bully. You put them as an XL Bully. The dogs that look like more Pit Monsters, you put them as Pit Monsters. I don't know. It just seems like, composite breeds. Why make it so formal? I know why, because people want to win ribbons, and I'm not a dog show enthusiast at all. I'm a dog enthusiast. I want good dogs. I want good people to be involved in breeding good dogs and supplying good customers and potentially solid, upstanding, moral owners to own these types of dogs.
I think she went in the heat. So this April, actually, no, we're going to skip this month, and she'll be back on her first show in May. May and June, she'll be back in the ring, guys. We're going to see you. So anyhow, we ended up getting these guys that are half American and half Brazilian because of Klaus and because of Lily. Now, Klaus has been bred to other females, yes. But the importance of what we were looking for is we like that Zion blood. Zion is a marquee dog that we follow. That's a cornerstone in our yard. We have a lot of that blood on our yard. The breeds mix very well because the breeds used are very common. So in conclusion, I feel it is appropriate. This time is appropriate to mix the pit monsters into the XLs because of the lack of uniformity of look. And even without the Brazilian dogs, the XLs alone, but full bred XLs here, you could easily see 3 different expressions in one show. First and foremost, I like Raul Cubian. I'm a big fan of his amazing content. Man, all of us can stand so much to learn from that guy. I love his content. Araya, another amazing person. I've learned so much from her. She's been a gem to me, a great person to me. I respect both of their standpoints. I have my own standpoint. And because I am willing to put the work, the dedication, the knowledge, the research into what I'm doing, I also stand on my platform and have an opinion. And so do the rest of you guys. If you don't like the Brazilian dogs, that's fine. I'm not breeding all 50% dogs. I got my American breedings that are just American.
Yeah, I'm not a purist. I'm sure what he's trying to do is build a pure line for himself, and I respect that, but I'm not a purist. I think that you breed good dogs to good dogs, and you figure it out from there. I just think that the XL Bully is such a convoluted style of dog. It's not even really a breed that. Why wouldn't you continue to tinker with the foundation to strengthen it and create a desired outcome? I think the Brazilian pit monsters are probably a good outlet for these dogs.
I got my Brazilian breedings that are just Brazilian. And then I have my in-between, which is what I bought into that I'm going to take back to a Brazilian or take back to an American to see what I get. All that to say, this is what makes our community great, is that we can all have an opinion. And I think it matters. I think it's important that we all express which direction our categories and our lane, the XL lane, which way it's going. And it's very good, discussions to have. And I do like hearing different perspectives because sometimes somebody will bring up a point that even I didn't think about. And that's important to me, to keep an open mind and not be kennel blind and not be so consumed with what I do that, I'm living in my own bubble. No one wants to live in their own bubble and be detached from the reality of things. So keep that in mind, guys, for yourselves, for your camp, or if you are a person that's a fan of the breed and investing in these dogs, find and connect with good, ethical people. We don't always have to agree, guys, and that's okay. We can agree, we can disagree, but you know what? We're all still family. We're all part of.
I think if I was going to breed bullies, it probably would be. I like the small micros. I know those aren't popular because of the health risks, but if a real clean micro is really cool. I'm not a huge fan of what the pockets have turned into, but I like some pockets as long as they're not overdone. Standards, I like some of the standards as long as they're not too overdone. Yeah, I don't know, like a real bullier type classic or XL would be kind of cool. I'm just thinking for business purposes, you get larger litters, more opportunity for a profit. And they're impressive looking dogs,
Bully game, bully lane, and therefore I like the openness of communication. That concludes this episode of a Brazilian Pit Monster versus American XL Bully. Earl Sumo Bully Kennels, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah, check out his channel, Sumo Bullet Kennels. Good dude. I interviewed him a few months back. He's done a lot in a short amount of time. It's one of those things where, you make the investments, you can do it. Building from the ground up is tough. You got to it's either you come in and get lucky or you invest a good chunk of change, or you go by piece and can afford to make mistakes. So, but yeah, I agree with him that the Brazilian blood is is much needed in the XL bully world. But it sounds like that they're trying to divide the blood. They're going to make their own breed. Yeah, like I said, I was looking at raincoats for my Anatolian Akbash Kangol mix, my Turkish Shepherd. He hates the rain. I don't know. He's definitely been wimpified since, you know, uh, since he isn't a true farm dog anymore, even though that's where he came from and all that. But so where we're going, it rains, and um, here it rains. It rains a lot, but it's more like downpours. Where it'll rain for a couple hours and then it stops. Um, where we're going, it doesn't stop. It's just a constant flow of rain. Um, but it's not like a constant downpour. It's just a constant drizzle or a constant steady stream of rain. And so I'm looking at raincoats. Something maybe where he feel comfortable being outside a little bit because he enjoys being outside. I don't want to limit his outdoor time because of the rain, you know. So just wondering to see. It may not even affect anything. You may hate the coat so much he wants inside anyway, but we'll see. Just trying to think of things that might help. Then I'm researching vets. You gotta look up veterinarians. One, just just your general practice vet that can take care of regular veterinary needs, and then repro stuff. So I need a repro vet, and those are. It's not like here where I have like 3 or 4 choices within 50 minutes of me where I'm going to live. All the repro vets seem to be like at least an hour away. I have a feeling it's probably not as breeder friendly where I'm going, so but I don't know. We'll see. I'm trying to make some connections with people too. Try to get to know people in the area, breeders. Might do some on the road stuff, drive an hour or so, do an interview in somebody's yard or something. We'll see. Can't make any guarantees on that, but yeah, it should be interesting getting back to the friendly confines in the Northwest. I don't know if they're so friendly anymore. At least familiar grounds anyway. It's going to be cool to not have to put up with the weather like we do here. The weather is always a concern. We weatherized our garage and put an AC in and ample heat and all that, and really well insulated. And we were going to turn that into kind of a full working kennel, but a couple things that slowed that project down, and then the offer to move was given to us, so we kind of scrapped that project. Back in the Northwest, the weather isn't as deep of a concern. The dampness is, but where we're going to be living, I mean, it's barely going to get 75 even in the summer. So, yeah, that should be interesting as well. It gets chilly in the winter, but nothing like here, below zero. It's usually like in the upper 30s at night, maybe even going down to the upper 20s. But during the day, it's in the 40s, and that's cold. Here, that's mild, but and then it's kind of easy to. But the last year that we were in Oregon, before we moved out here, we didn't have a furnace because we knew we were moving and we were just going to wait till we sold it. So we lived off of a few space heaters and window units. As far as air conditioning is concerned, so it was nice. It was easy. because it doesn't get that hot, and then at night it cools down. You can open up your windows, and probably only maybe 7-8 days in summer that where the temperature stays in the upper 60s, low 70s at night. Not like here, when there are some nights it doesn't get out of 80 degrees, it doesn't get below 80. Not gonna lie, I am gonna kind of miss that. I don't mind the summers. It does get kind of intrusive with the humidity and all of that, and the heat, but and then when fall happens, you're kind of relieved. You're like, oh, yeah, I'm over it. But um, I do like warm weather, and it, not where I'm going. It's those days are gone, but that's where it's in my veins. It's where I grew up, So I need to be close to water and trees, close to mountains. I'm nervous about it because I'm not necessarily aligned with the groupthink in that area. I don't have a hive mind or a cult-like mind like that. I feel like a lot of that area creates. I stick to myself, and I get along with everybody, and people that don't get along with, I just try to avoid. So not much is going to change outside of work and outside of the dog world and family. I just pretty much stick to myself, so nothing's going to really change. I may roll my eyes and say mean things in my head or under my breath when nobody's able to hear around.